Oh, welcome, ladies and gents. We have an update on the Gears of War and BIOSHOCK movies by Netflix. I don't know. I'm not massively excited about either of these projects from Netflix. I'm not massively hateful about them either. I think Netflix have been doing better. I think One Piece proved that quite unanimously, almost, with those kinds of things. So I do hope that they've learnt their lesson. Obviously, those are different production companies on behalf of Netflix, and that's a kind of a distributor. But it's still interesting. And I will say as well, just as an FYI, Avatar: The Last Airbender, their live-action adaptation of that actually looks like pretty decent, all things considered. I know that the original creators had to leave due to creative differences, so it might be absolute poo. But, it'll be interesting to see. Basically, the jury's still out on Gears of War and BioShock, but there is an update on it. We'll dive into it today. Hit subscribe if you're new here. These are projects. I mean, the BioShock one, for instance, has been in development since August of last year, whilst Netflix has been also developing Gears of War since November of last year. So a little, a fair while. Francis Lawrence is directing the BioShock film from a script written by Logan and Blade Runner 2049 screenwriter Michael Green. So that's quite good. Gears of War is also being developed by Dune writer John Spates, which some people probably won't like. And we don't really know anything else about those films outside of that, to be fair. But Netflix's head of films, Scott Stuber, interesting name, spoke to Collider and gave an update on where the two projects currently stand. And this is it. It's kind of short and sweet, but it is interesting nonetheless. It says, Bio, we're waiting on the script. So we're in that kind of phase. The strike slowed us down quite a bit. That one and Gears of War 2. I'd really like to push on. I mean, Gears of War, I was the producer on when I was a producer. So to bring it full circle has been great for me to get back together with the guys at Microsoft. So those are two really big ones that I feel aspirationally. There are huge audiences, as you know. That kind of medium, they don't translate always, and historically, as an industry, we've screwed it up quite a bit. But both those have really rich worlds, have really good characters, so they're very natural kind of transitions to screen and filmmaking. They are, but it's dependent which way they go. I mean, Gears of War is such a... Well, both games are so story-driven. It's like you can literally just do Gears of War, the first movie. The first game as a movie. Literally just that. You can absolutely do that. It's such an old game now by comparison to new stuff. There'll be a lot of people that watch that and go, I've never played the game. There'll be a lot of people that have never played the game that still play games and are super interested in watching it. You can just do the first game. And I reckon that as a standalone would translate so well. Direct game translation into movie. They won't, obviously. Now, BioShock, I think, is a little bit different to that. I personally, for BioShock, would love to see the fall of Rapture. I think that'd be amazing. And then, like, the intro to the game or something like that. It was Rapture, wasn't it? Maybe. But that's how I would do it with BioShock and Gears of War, respectively. Now, interestingly, Stuber was on for Universal, basically. He was going to be producing Gears of War at Universal, but that never happened. And as the interview continued, Stuber was asked about the status of the scripts for projects, to which he shared that they don't have any yet. So development was slowed down by WGA and SAG strikes. So they do have extensive treatments for both projects. So he says, we've done long treatments. There's a lot of people that we want to make sure feel good. Inevitably, when you're making those, first and foremost, you've got to make sure the fan base is good, right? So you're working with the creators, you're working with the teams who make the games. We've worked out a lot of that. So now we've got great writers, and I feel like hopefully will be on the road once we get those drafts. So still very early stages of development. Some of the stuff he says, kind of reassuring, but then you just think back to what they've done in the past and you go, probably not. But there you go. There's not much else. I mean, there is nothing else really to say here. You know, video game adaptations have gotten better. It still doesn't mean that they are where they should be by this point in time. But there has been, you know, a whole host of video games being adapted, and they've translated really well to the screen when they've, you know, adapted them as close to the game as possible, or as close to the anime, manga as possible. It can be done. Where there's a will, there's a way. I'm just, you know, the slight thing that concerns me is when they say things like, you know, they've got really rich worlds and have really good characters. So, yeah, they do have really rich worlds, but what part of that are you looking at? Are you trying to expand the world before establishing the world? And what I mean, are you trying to tap into other elements that were seen in the game to tell a story that meets a checklist, right? Because that can very well happen with these things, and that's poo. No one wants that. No one wants, especially Gears of War, right? No one wants a feminist drivel Gears of War. That is not the game or movie to do a feminist pile of shit with. That will backfire so massively, it's not even funny. Rapture, you know, and BIOSHOCK, can you realistically tell a story from a female's perspective in there? Yeah, probably, if it's the fall of Rapture. You'd have it as a family or something like that. There are elements you can do with that, but Gears of War, it's very difficult to fit the checklist with Gears of War. It's a very masculine game, and it's supposed to be. They're big, brutish. You know, the Gears, they're supposed to be these big... I mean, they look roided up, man. Like, they are huge, huge people. And they're supposed to be that way. And it's, you know, you're supposed to throw yourself into objects for cover. And it's just not that kind of movie. You just can't do it. And if you do, it will fail. Monumentally. So it is what it is. But we'll see. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.